Hello, my friends. My name is Ariel. I am your English teacher. I ask you, why are you learning English? Is it to travel, to get a better job, to talk with people, to read more information, or for another reason? Please share your reason in the comments. Let us begin the story. I come from Spain. I have a dream to learn English. I want to travel and grow. I want to work in a big city. I want to speak with people from many lands. I arrived in New York with hope and a little fear. I had never been in a big city like New York. The airport was busy and noisy. I felt both excited and nervous. I took a taxi to my new apartment. The buildings were tall. There were many people and bright lights everywhere. At my apartment, I met my new roommate. Her name is Anna. She comes from Brazil. Anna is also learning English. We talked quickly. We became good friends. I felt happy to have someone who understood my dream. The next day, I walked to my language school. I was eager to learn. The streets were full of life. I saw vendors selling food. I saw people hurrying to work. I saw tourists with cameras. The city looked like a busy, colorful place. At school, I met my teacher. Her name is Ms. Parker. She smiled and welcomed us. In my class, there were many students from many countries. I met Hiroshi from Japan, Maria from Mexico, and Ahmed from Egypt. We all came to learn English. Ms. Parker asked us to say our names. I took a deep breath. I said, "Hello, my name is Laura. I am from Spain. I am here to learn English." Everyone smiled. Ms. Parker said, "Welcome, Laura. We are glad you are here." Ms. Parker explained our course. She said we would learn by speaking, listening, reading, and writing every day. She told us not to worry if we made mistakes. Mistakes help us learn. In the afternoon, we practiced speaking with a partner. I talked with Hiroshi. He told me he loved anime and wanted to work in animation. I told him I liked books and wished to be a writer. We shared our dreams and learned new words. After class, Anna and I decided to explore our neighborhood. We walked to a small park. We sat on a bench and talked about our first day. We felt happy and brave. Later, we cooked dinner in our small kitchen. We made a simple pasta dish. While cooking, we used English. Anna said, "Pass me the salt, please." I said, "Here you go." We laughed and enjoyed our meal. The next day at school, we had a listening exercise. Ms. Parker played a recording of a conversation. At first, the words were hard to catch, but Ms. Parker played it again and again. With each play, I understood more. Then, we had a reading activity. Ms. Parker gave us a short story about a girl who moved to a new city. The story felt like a mirror of my own life. We read it together and then talked about it. Ms. Parker asked us questions to check our understanding. This helped me learn many new words. In the afternoon, we did a writing exercise. We had to write a short paragraph about our favorite place at home. I wrote about a beautiful beach near my town. The sand was golden. The water was clear and blue. Writing in English was not easy, but I felt proud when I finished. After school, Anna, Hiroshi, and I went to a coffee shop. We wanted to practice English outside of class. We ordered drinks in English and sat at a table. We talked about our day and our plans for the weekend. It was fun and made us feel more sure of our English. On Saturday, Anna and I went out to see New York. We rode the subway to Times Square. I was amazed by the bright lights and big screens. There were crowds of people. We took many pictures and even bought souvenirs. Next, we visited Central Park. The park was green and calm. We saw people jogging and families having picnics. We sat on a bench and talked about our families and homes. This made us practice English even more. Later, we visited the Museum of Modern Art. The art was strange and beautiful. We tried to read the information about the paintings. Some words were new, but we helped each other. It was a great learning day. On Sunday, I stayed home to study. I read English books and watched a movie with English subtitles. I wrote in my journal about my experiences in New York. Writing helped me remember new words. I felt proud to see my progress. In the evening, Anna and I cooked dinner again. This time, we made tacos. We talked about our plans for the week. Anna said she wanted a part-time job to practice her English. I thought it was a good idea, and I too looked for a job. The next day at school, Ms. Parker taught us English grammar. We learned about verb tenses. We did exercises to use these tenses correctly. I felt my writing and speaking were getting better. In a speaking activity, I practiced ordering food in a restaurant with a classmate from Mexico. We pretended to order meals. It was fun and helped us use English like we do in real life. After class, Anna and I went to a job center. We looked at job listings and talked with the staff. They gave us tips. They said working in a cafe or a store would be a good way to practice English. We filled out job applications and left our contact details. I felt nervous and excited at the same time. I hoped to get a job where I could speak English every day. That evening, I called my family in Spain. I told them all about my adventures in New York and my new friends. They were happy and proud. I missed them, but I knew I was learning and growing. The next few days at school were busy. We learned more grammar and new vocabulary. We listened to more recordings and practiced speaking in groups. I made sure to practice every day, even outside of class. One day, Ms. Parker asked each student to give a short talk about their home country. I was nervous, but I prepared my speech. I talked about Spain. I showed pictures of famous places and festivals. My classmates listened with interest. Their smiles made me feel proud. On Friday, Anna and I received a call from a cafe where we had applied. They wanted to interview us for part-time work. We practiced common interview questions together. We told each other how to answer clearly and confidently. The next day, we went to the cafe for our interview. The manager, Lucy, was kind. She asked about our past work and why we wanted to work at the cafe. I explained that I wanted to improve my English and learn about American culture. Anna said the same. Lucy was pleased. She offered us a trial period to see how we did. Anna and I felt very happy. We thanked Lucy and agreed to start soon. That evening, we celebrated our new chance. We cooked a special dinner and invited Hiroshi and another friend from class. We talked about our new jobs and our adventures in New York. It was a joyful night. As I went to sleep, I felt thankful. New York was a big, busy city, but it was full of chances to learn and grow. The next Monday, Anna and I began our new jobs at the cafe. The cafe was small and cozy. It was in a busy part of the city. Many people came in every day. Lucy, our manager, introduced us to our new colleagues. Everyone was friendly. Lucy showed us the cafe. She explained our tasks. We were to take orders, make drinks, serve food, and clean tables. I knew that working here would help me practice my English. Lucy then held a short training session. We learned how to use the cash register and the coffee machine. At first, it was hard to remember all the steps, but Lucy was patient. Anna and I practiced together. Slowly, we became more sure of our work. When our first shift started, I felt nervous but ready. My first customer was a kind woman. She ordered a latte and a croissant. I took her order and repeated it. She smiled and said, "Yes, that is right." I felt relieved and happy. As the day went on, I took many orders. I sometimes forgot a little detail, like sugar in a coffee, but the customers were kind. I apologized and fixed my mistakes. Every order was a chance to learn new words and practice speaking. Anna and I helped each other during busy times. We talked in English while we worked. This made our work fun. By the end of the day, we were tired but proud. We had survived our first day at the cafe. Later that day, at school, Ms. Parker gave us a vocabulary exercise. She gave us a list of new words. We wrote sentences with each word. I felt my vocabulary grow with every sentence. Then, we did a listening exercise. Ms. Parker played a radio conversation about art. I listened carefully and answered questions. Each exercise made my English a bit stronger. After school, I returned to the cafe. Anna and I worked together and talked with regular customers. One regular customer was Mr. Johnson, an older man who came every morning. He always ordered black coffee and a newspaper. He was friendly. One day, he asked about my home. I told him about Spain and the beautiful places there. He listened with great interest and asked many questions. Talking to him helped me use English naturally. As days passed, my English grew better. I felt more at ease when talking to customers. Lucy often praised us for our hard work. Her kind words made us want to do even better. On weekends, Anna and I explored more of New York. We walked on the Brooklyn Bridge and enjoyed the view of the skyline. The city looked very pretty from the bridge. We took pictures and then went to a small cafe for lunch. We practiced our English by ordering food and talking with the waiter. Every conversation made me stronger. At school, Ms. Parker taught us about idioms and expressions. She said that idioms are phrases with a meaning different from the words. For example, "It's raining cats and dogs" means it rains very hard. We played a game with these phrases. I laughed as I tried to use them in sentences. I said, "My presentation was a piece of cake," meaning it was easy. My classmates and teacher clapped for our efforts. Using idioms made our speech lively. One day, Ms. Parker asked us to give presentations about our cultures. I was excited to share about Spain. I brought pictures of the La Tomatina festival and the running of the bulls. I also brought some traditional sweets called turrón. I spoke clearly about Spanish festivals and traditions. My classmates asked many questions. They liked the sweets and pictures. This made me proud of my heritage. After the presentations, we all shared food in a potluck lunch. There was sushi from Japan, tacos from Mexico, falafel from Egypt, and brigadeiros from Brazil. I tasted many flavors. I learned that sharing food can bring people together. It was a warm, multicultural day. One weekend, Anna and I went to a music festival in Central Park. There were many bands and live performances. We danced and laughed. The music was full of life. At the festival, we met new friends from different countries. They were also learning English. We exchanged phone numbers and promised to meet again. These moments made our New York life more colorful. On Sunday, I spent time studying. I read English books and wrote in my journal. I wrote about all the things I had done and learned. I felt that writing helped me remember new words and ideas. In the evening, Anna and I cooked dinner. This time, we made a dish from our own cultures, tacos and empanadas. While cooking, we followed an English recipe. We read the instructions out loud and helped each other. Cooking became a fun way to learn new vocabulary. A few days later, Ms. Parker gave us a grammar lesson about prepositions. We learned how to use words that show time, place, and direction. We did many exercises. It was tricky at first, but Ms. Parker explained clearly. In a speaking activity, I worked with Hiroshi. We described our favorite places in our home countries. Hiroshi talked about a quiet temple in Kyoto. I described the sunny beach near my town. This activity helped us use English in real life. After school, I returned to the cafe for my shift. I took orders, made drinks, and talked to many customers. I used the new grammar and vocabulary I had learned in class. Every day at the cafe became a chance to learn. In the evening, Anna and I cooked dinner and talked about our future. Anna said she wanted to study marketing and find a part-time job that helps her practice English. I wanted to finish my language course and maybe write a book in English. We both had big dreams, and we supported each other. I began to call my family more often. I told them about my experiences at school and at the cafe. I told them about my new friends, the lessons, and the adventures. My family listened with love and pride. Their words encouraged me to work harder. One day at school, Ms. Parker gave us an assignment to write an essay about our favorite place in New York. I wrote about my visit to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. I described the large building, the bright galleries, and the ancient artifacts. I wrote about the beautiful paintings and sculptures. I mentioned the friendly art student I met there. I described her name as Emma. I told how we talked about art and shared our thoughts. Writing this essay helped me think about all I had learned about art and history. After the class, I decided to visit the museum again. I took the subway to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. When I stepped inside, I felt small among the great works of art. I got a map and started my tour. First, I went to the Egyptian exhibit. There were statues, carvings, and even a real mummy. I read the small cards and learned about ancient Egypt. I felt a connection with the old world. Then I went to the European Paintings Gallery. I saw paintings by famous artists like Van Gogh, Rembrandt, and Monet. I stood for a long time before Van Gogh's Starry Night. The swirling sky and bright stars took my breath away. I felt the passion in each brushstroke. I listened to the museum's audio guide, which told me more about the paintings. Each piece of art taught me something new. While I admired a sculpture, a friendly woman came near me. She smiled and said, "Hi, I am Emma. I study art at New York University." I said, "Hello, my name is Laura. I am visiting the museum for the first time." Emma told me about her favorite galleries. She suggested I also visit the Impressionist section and the American wing. I thanked her and promised to look around more. Meeting Emma made my museum visit even better. After exploring for many hours, I went to the museum cafe. I ordered tea and a slice of cake. I sat by a window and thought about all I had seen. I felt happy and a little tired. Before leaving, I stopped at the museum shop. I bought a postcard of Starry Night and a small keychain with the museum's image. These souvenirs would help me remember this special day. Later that evening, I returned to my apartment. I showed Anna the pictures I took and the little gifts I bought. We talked for hours about art, culture, and our dreams. Anna said, "I wish I could visit the museum with you next time." I smiled and said, "I will show you all the best parts." We planned our next outing together. The next week, I went with Anna to a flea market. I had heard that flea markets are full of surprises. Early in the morning, we took the subway to the market. The place was busy and colorful. Stalls lined the streets. There were old books, handmade jewelry, and vintage clothes. I felt like I was in a treasure hunt. I wandered alone at first. I saw a stall with a beautiful necklace. The old lady who ran the stall smiled warmly. "Hello, dear," she said. "Do you like this necklace? It is handmade and very special." I admired it and asked, "How much is it?" She said, "It costs $20, but for you, I will give it for $15. I thanked her and bought the necklace. I felt happy with my small treasure. Then I found a stall full of old books. I love reading, so I stopped there. The stall owner asked, "Do you like books?" I said, "Yes, I love reading." I looked at many books and found an old edition of Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. It was a little worn, but it felt precious. I bought the book and tucked it safely into my bag. After an hour, I met Anna at our meeting point. She held a bag of her own finds. She had bought a vintage dress, some earrings, and a small painting. We shared our treasures. Anna said, "I found these items at great prices." I said, "I love this necklace and the book I got. They feel special." We then sat at a food stall and shared empanadas. We talked and laughed in English. It was a day full of fun and real practice. On the subway ride home, Anna and I talked about our day. "I want to come back here soon," Anna said. "There is so much to see," I agreed. At home, I opened my new book. I began to read a few pages. The language was simple, but every word was new to me. I wrote down some difficult words in my notebook. This helped me learn and remember them. That evening, we watched an English movie called The Pursuit of Happiness. It was a touching film about hard work and hope. The movie made us laugh and cry. Watching movies in English helps me learn new expressions and improves my listening. I felt my heart warm with hope as I listened to every word. The next day, I went for a long walk in Central Park. The park was full of life. Children played, couples strolled hand in hand, and people jogged on the paths. I sat on a bench and thought of my dreams. I said to myself, I want to speak English fluently. I want to make my dreams come true. I felt strong and determined. I knew that each day of practice would bring me closer to my goal. At school, Ms. Parker gave us an assignment. We had to give a presentation about a famous person from our country. I chose to talk about Pablo Picasso, a great Spanish artist. I spent many hours preparing. I gathered pictures and wrote notes about Picasso's life. I learned about his art and his famous paintings. I felt proud to share a piece of my culture with my classmates. On the day of the presentation, I stood in front of my class. I took a deep breath and spoke slowly. Hello, everyone. Today I will talk about Pablo Picasso. He is a very important artist from Spain. I showed pictures of his paintings. I explained how his art changed the way people see the world. My classmates listened with care. When I finished, Ms. Parker clapped. "Well done, Laura," she said. I felt happy and brave. After the presentations, we had a group discussion. Our topic was our favorite books and authors. I told the group about Jane Austen and my love for Pride and Prejudice. Hiroshi talked about mystery novels by Agatha Christie. Elizabeth said she loved fantasy stories by J.K. Rowling. We all shared our thoughts in simple words. It was a fun time to learn about different books and make plans to read more. In the evening, I called my family. I told my mother, I had a great day. I gave a presentation about Picasso today. My father said, "We are very proud of you, Laura." Their words filled my heart with love. Even though I was far away, I felt connected to them. A few days later, Anna told me about a book club. The club meets every week at the local library. I was excited to join. At the first meeting, I introduced myself. Hi, I am Laura. I love reading and learning English. The club members smiled and welcomed me warmly. This club was full of people who loved stories. We discussed the book To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. I listened to others' ideas and shared my own. It felt like a new family, one that helped me grow. Then Ms. Parker announced a class debate. We had to talk about why learning a second language is important. I stood up and said, "Learning another language opens many doors. It helps you meet new friends, understand different cultures, and gain knowledge. It is a very important skill in our world." My classmates nodded and clapped. I felt my heart swell with pride. After class, Anna and I decided to celebrate. We cooked empanadas together. We followed a simple recipe from our phones. While cooking, we chatted about the day's lessons and our dreams. "I want to write a book in English one day," I said. Anna replied, "I want to work in marketing and travel the world." We laughed and made plans for the future. One bright Saturday morning, Anna and I planned a visit to a flea market. We had heard that flea markets are full of unique things. At breakfast, Anna said, I am so excited. I might find a vintage dress or a rare book. I agreed. We took the subway and soon arrived at a busy market. The streets were lined with many small shops and colorful stalls. I wandered slowly through the market. I saw many things: old coins, handmade crafts, and beautiful trinkets. I stopped at a stall that sold a lovely necklace. The vendor, an older woman, smiled and said, "This necklace is special. It is handmade and unique." I looked closely and admired the small details. I asked, "How much is it?" She said, "It is $20, but I will give it to you for 15. I thanked her and bought the necklace. I felt very happy with my purchase. As I walked further, I found a stall full of old books. I love reading, so I spent a long time there. The stall owner said, "Do you like literature?" I replied, "Yes, very much." I saw a worn copy of Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Even if the pages were yellowed, I knew it was a treasure. I bought the book and added it to my small collection. After an hour, I met Anna at our meeting spot. She had a bag full of finds. She had purchased a vintage dress, a pair of earrings, and a small painting. We compared our treasures and talked about each item. Anna said, "I love this dress. It looks like it has a story." I said, "This necklace feels special to me." We then sat by a food stall. We ordered empanadas and shared them happily. We talked in English with the vendors. The market was a perfect place to practice real conversation. When we returned home on the subway, we discussed our day. "I learned so many new words today," I said. "I feel more confident talking with strangers," Anna replied. At home, I opened my new book. I read several pages, using my dictionary for new words. I wrote down some of these words in my notebook. Later that night, Anna and I watched an English movie. We chose The Pursuit of Happiness. The film was inspiring and fun. It helped us hear natural English speech and learn new phrases. The next morning, I took a quiet walk in Central Park. The park was peaceful. I watched children play, people jog, and couples stroll. I sat on a bench and thought about my journey. I said to myself, "Every day I learn more and grow stronger. My dream is coming closer." I felt calm and determined. At school the next day, Ms. Parker introduced us to idioms. She explained that idioms are special phrases that do not mean what the words say literally. For example, break the ice means to make people feel comfortable. We practiced by making sentences. I said, "My first presentation was a piece of cake." The class laughed and clapped. Learning idioms made English feel fun and lively. After the idiom lesson, we had a group discussion. I worked with Ahmed from Egypt. We practiced using idioms in short dialogues. I said, "When I met my new friends, I was nervous at first, but then I broke the ice." Ahmed smiled and added his own sentence. We laughed and enjoyed our practice. This game helped me remember many idioms and use them in conversation. One day, I received a call from a cafe that wanted to hire me. I was excited. I remembered my earlier interview with Lucy, the manager. I prepared for my shift by practicing phrases like, "How can I help you?" and "Thank you for waiting." I wore my neat uniform and smiled when I arrived. The cafe was busy that day, and I took orders, made drinks, and talked to many customers. I used all the new words and idioms I had learned. I felt proud when a customer said, "Your English is very good, Laura." Their kind words made my heart warm. On another busy day, Mrs. Collins, a kind, regular customer, came to the cafe. She always ordered her cappuccino with a smile. She said, "Hello, Laura. How is your English coming along?" I replied, "I am learning every day. I even visited the museum last week." Mrs. Collins smiled and said, "That is wonderful. Keep up the good work." Her words encouraged me to work even harder. After a long shift, I went back to school. Ms. Parker gave us a lesson on prepositions. She explained words like in, on, at, and by. We practiced by describing our homes and favorite places. I worked with Hiroshi again. I said, "My favorite beach is near my town in Spain." Hiroshi said, "I like the temple in Kyoto." Our teacher clapped when we finished. These small words are very important, and I learned to use them well. Every day felt full of chances to learn. I studied at school, worked at the cafe, and explored the city. My life in New York was busy but happy. I wrote in my journal every night. I recorded my thoughts, my struggles, and my wins. My journal became a friend that reminded me of my progress. One evening, my classmates and I had a cultural exchange event. Each person brought a dish from home. I brought some Spanish turon and pictures of Spanish festivals. Maria from Mexico brought tacos. Hiroshi shared sushi. Ahmed brought a dish from Egypt. We ate together, talked, and laughed. It was a day of sharing cultures and making memories. I felt connected to my friends and to the world. Soon, a special class debate was announced. The topic was the importance of learning a second language. I stood before my class and said, "Learning a second language opens doors. It helps us meet new people. It helps us see the world in different ways. It gives us power to work in many places. I believe learning English is a gift for the future." My words were met with applause. I felt confident and brave. After school, I decided to join a book club. At the local library, a small group gathered to discuss books. I introduced myself by saying, "I love reading and learning English. I enjoy stories that take me to new worlds." The members welcomed me warmly. We discussed the book To Kill a Mockingbird. I listened to others and shared my thoughts. The discussion was lively and full of new ideas. I learned many new words and made new friends. One day, Ms. Parker asked us to prepare a presentation about a famous person from our country. I chose to speak about Pablo Picasso. I spent many hours reading about his life and art. I gathered pictures of his paintings and learned about his creative journey. When the day came, I stood in front of my class and spoke slowly and clearly. I said, "Picasso is a great artist from Spain. He changed the way people see art. His work is bold and full of emotion." I showed my pictures and explained each one. My classmates listened with interest. When I finished, they clapped. Ms. Parker said, "You did a wonderful job, Laura." I felt proud and happy. Later, we had a group discussion about our favorite books. I talked about Jane Austen and my love for classic stories. Hiroshi shared his love for mystery novels. Elizabeth said she enjoyed fantasy books by J.K. Rowling. We all shared our ideas and listened to each other. This conversation made me feel like I belonged to a big family of readers. That night, I called my family again. I told my mother about my presentation and the fun group discussion. My parents said they were proud and that I should keep working hard. Their words made me feel strong and loved. Days passed, and my routine in New York became a beautiful blend of work, study, and exploration. I continued to work at the cafe. I practiced English every day at school. I also found time to relax with Anna. We often cooked together, watched English movies, and took long walks in the park. Each day was a step toward my dream of mastering English. One weekend, Anna and I went to a music festival in Central Park. The festival was full of live bands and dancing. I enjoyed the music and the happy crowd. I met people from many countries. We talked about our dreams, our work, and our love for music. I learned new English words from our conversations. The music filled me with energy and hope. On another day, I visited the Metropolitan Museum of Art once again. I wanted to learn more about art and history. This time, I took my time and read all the small notes next to the paintings. I stood for a long time before a sculpture that told a story of ancient times. I felt the passion of the artists who made these works. I listened carefully to the audio guide. Every word helped me understand more. I left the museum with a heart full of wonder. At the same time, I continued my studies at school. We learned many new topics. One day, we studied idiomatic expressions. Ms. Parker said, "Idioms are fun and make our language colorful." We played games where we had to use idioms in sentences. I said, "I was nervous at first, but then I broke the ice with my classmates." We all laughed and clapped. These exercises made English feel like a secret code that only a few knew, but soon everyone could learn. In class, we also had listening exercises. We listened to recordings of interviews with famous artists and leaders. I tried hard to catch every word. I wrote down new words in my notebook. Each lesson made my English a bit better. I felt more comfortable with every word I learned. One busy day, I got a call from the cafe about a special event. They planned a celebration for the cafe's anniversary. I was asked to help with decorations and to take special orders. I worked extra hard that day. I greeted customers with a big smile and used many of the new words I had learned. One customer, Mrs. Collins, came in and said, "Your English is wonderful, Laura." Her words made my day shine bright. Later that evening, Anna and I decided to try a new recipe at home. We chose a famous Italian pasta dish. We went to the grocery store, bought fresh ingredients, and returned home to cook. We read the recipe in English, step by step. We measured, mixed, and cooked together. While cooking, we talked about our lessons and our dreams. Anna said, "I want to work in marketing one day." I replied, "I dream of writing a book in English." Our conversation flowed easily, and we enjoyed every moment. In the days that followed, I continued to build my life in New York. I attended my classes, worked at the cafe, and explored the city. I met many kind people who helped me learn and grow. I made new friends at school, in the cafe, and in the book club. Every new experience was a chance to practice English and understand the world better. One day, Ms. Parker told us about a debate session in class. We were to talk about why learning a second language is so important. I prepared my thoughts carefully. When it was my turn, I said, "Learning another language is like opening a new door. It helps us travel, work, and share ideas. It connects us to a bigger world. With English, I can talk to anyone." My classmates listened and then discussed their views. The debate was lively and made us think deeply about our goals. After school, I felt a deep sense of accomplishment. I had come a long way since my first day in New York. I remembered the nervous excitement at the airport, the warm welcome by Anna, the kind words of Ms. Parker, and the encouragement from customers like Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Collins. All these small moments added up to a big journey of learning and growth. One bright morning, I joined a new group meeting, a book club that met at a local library. At the meeting, I met many people who loved literature. I introduced myself with a simple sentence. "Hello, I am Laura from Spain. I love reading and learning English." The group welcomed me warmly. We discussed our favorite novels and shared ideas. I mentioned how reading old classics helped me understand English better. I talked about Pride and Prejudice and Jane Austen's clever words. The conversation was warm and friendly, and I felt that I belonged. As weeks turned into months, my life in New York became a blend of work, study, and exploration. I felt more at home with each day that passed. I was not just learning English, I was living it. I spoke it in class, at the cafe, in the streets, and even at home with Anna. My heart grew with every new word, every new phrase, and every conversation. One sunny afternoon, I walked in Central Park with Anna. We sat on a quiet bench under a large tree. I looked at the people passing by, children laughing, couples talking, and joggers running. I said, "I want to become fluent in English. I want to share my story with the world." Anna smiled and said, "You are doing very well, Laura. Every day you improve. I am proud of you." In that moment, I felt a strong joy. I knew that hard work and hope could bring dreams to life. Another busy day came when I had to present my project about Pablo Picasso in class. I was nervous at first. I remembered all the times I practiced at home. I stepped to the front of the class and spoke clearly. "Picasso is one of the greatest artists from Spain," I said. I showed pictures of his paintings. I told the class how his art spoke of passion and life. When I finished, the class clapped. Ms. Parker said, "Great job, Laura. Your presentation was clear and full of interesting facts." I felt proud and excited to share my culture. After the presentation, I joined my group of friends for a fun discussion. We talked about our favorite books, our hobbies, and our future dreams. Hiroshi spoke about his love for nature and art. Ahmed shared his plans to travel to faraway countries. Elizabeth and Maria talked about their favorite movies and music. We all listened to each other with care. The conversation flowed easily and made us laugh. This friendly talk made me feel that every word I spoke was a step toward a better future. Later that evening, I called my family back home. I told them about my day, my presentation, and the new words I had learned. My parents listened happily. They said, "Keep going, Laura. We believe in you." Their support filled me with strength and made every challenge seem smaller. Every day in New York brought a new lesson. I learned new vocabulary in class. I practiced speaking with strangers at the cafe. I discovered new places in the city, parks, museums, markets, and theaters. I even started watching English movies without subtitles. One movie made me laugh hard, and another made me cry. Each film taught me a little more about life and language. One evening, Ms. Parker introduced us to idiomatic expressions once again. We played a game where each of us had to use an idiom in a sentence. I said, "After my first day at the cafe, I felt under the weather, but I soon bounced back." My classmates laughed and clapped. Idioms made the language playful and rich. I learned that every new phrase was like a secret that opened a door to native speech. In another class, we practiced group work. We were given a topic and asked to create a short dialogue. I worked with Ahmed and Elizabeth. We decided to talk about our favorite foods. I said, "I love paella from Spain. It is full of flavors and memories." Ahmed added, "I like kebabs from Egypt. They are spicy and warm." Elizabeth said, "I enjoy sushi from Japan. It is fresh and artistic." Our dialogue was simple and full of heart. It showed that food, like language, brings people together. Life in New York was busy. I balanced my time between work, study, and fun. I learned to use the subway, order coffee, and even shop at local markets. Every moment was a chance to practice English. I felt that I was not just learning a language, I was learning life. One weekend, Anna and I decided to visit a famous museum again. This time I wanted to focus on the American wing. I saw a huge painting called "Washington Crossing the Delaware." The painting was full of energy and courage. I read the description in English and learned new words like revolution and heroism. The museum was a place of wonder, where history and art spoke to me in a language I was slowly mastering. After the museum, I went to a quiet cafe near the museum. I ordered a hot chocolate and sat by a window. I watched people walk by, each with their own story. I took out my notebook and wrote down my thoughts. I wrote about art, about the power of history, and about my own journey in New York. Writing helped me connect my thoughts with my English words. I knew that every sentence I wrote was a step toward fluency. In the following days, I continued to explore. I visited small art galleries, attended local concerts, and even took a short trip by bus to nearby towns. In every new place, I spoke English. I asked questions, I listened to answers, and I learned something new. The world was open, and my words were my passport. At school, my teachers gave us many exercises. One day we had a debate on the value of learning languages. I spoke about how knowing English had opened doors to new cultures, jobs, and friendships. I said, "English is not just a language. It is a key to the world. It helps us share ideas and dreams. My classmates nodded. The debate made me feel that my journey was important, not just for me, but for everyone who dared to dream. On another day, I attended a special event at the school. We had a cultural exchange day. Everyone brought a piece of their own culture. I brought a small Spanish flag and some photos of my hometown. My classmates brought items from their countries. We tasted food from different lands and listened to stories from many cultures. I felt that my English lessons were not only about words, they were about connecting hearts. After school, Anna and I often went out to try new foods. One afternoon, we visited a small Italian restaurant. I ordered a pizza and a glass of soda. I spoke with the waiter in clear, simple English. I said, "I would like a small pizza with cheese, please." The waiter smiled and said, "Coming right up." Every little conversation boosted my confidence. One day, I decided to join a local community class that met in the evenings. It was a group for people who wanted to practice speaking English in everyday settings. There, I met many friendly faces. We talked about our jobs, our hobbies, and our dreams. I shared my story of coming to New York to learn English. The group clapped and encouraged me. I felt that I was part of a caring community. Life was busy, but I made time for rest. I often took quiet walks in the early mornings. I would watch the sun rise over the city and listen to the soft hum of New York waking up. In those moments, I felt peaceful and determined. I knew that every day brought me closer to my dream of fluency. Over time, I realized that learning English was like building a bridge. Each new word, each conversation, and every mistake was a plank on that bridge. With every day, my bridge grew stronger. I could cross from uncertainty to confidence, from fear to freedom. I kept a journal that grew thick with pages. In my journal, I wrote about every little adventure, from my first day in the cafe to my visit to the flea market, from debates in class to quiet moments in the park. My journal was full of short sentences and simple words. It told the story of a girl who dared to dream and worked every day to make that dream real. I also started to record little audio notes on my phone. I would speak about my day in English. I listened to these recordings later. I noticed how my voice became clearer and my words came out more easily. These small practices made a big difference. As months passed, my English improved a lot. I began to speak with more confidence. I could order food, ask for directions, and even joke with strangers in English. Every new conversation was a victory. I started to make plans for the future. I dreamed of writing a book in English someday. I imagined a life where I could travel the world and share my story with many people. My journey was full of ups and downs. Some days I felt tired and frustrated. I sometimes could not find the right word. But every setback was a lesson. I learned that mistakes are part of learning. I learned to smile and try again. My friends, Anna, Hiroshi, Maria, Ahmed, and many others helped me along the way. They cheered me on when I was low and celebrated with me when I succeeded. One day, after a busy week at the cafe and school, I sat down with Anna in our small living room. I said, "I feel like I am building a new life here. Every day is a chance to grow." Anna replied, "Yes, Laura, and I see how much you have learned. Your English is better now, and you are so brave." I thanked her for her constant support. We made plans to explore even more of New York in the coming weeks. I soon began to notice more changes in myself. I could understand movies without subtitles. I could read a book in English without stopping for long. I could hold a conversation with native speakers without feeling lost. Each new skill was a bright light in my journey. One afternoon, I went to a small bookstore near the cafe. I looked for new English books to add to my collection. I found a copy of The Catcher in the Rye. I sat in a quiet corner and read a few pages. I felt the words jump off the page. Every sentence was simple but full of meaning. I marked some sentences in my notebook and later discussed them with Anna. Our discussions helped us see new meanings in the words. Soon after, I was invited to join a community theater group. They needed people who could speak and act in English. I was nervous but excited. I joined the rehearsals. In the group, I met people who loved stories and drama. I practiced my lines, speaking clearly and with emotion. The rehearsals were fun and helped me overcome my shyness. I learned that language is not just about grammar or words. It is about expression and heart. At the same time, I continued my work at the cafe. I became more familiar with the regular customers. I learned the names of the people who visited every day. Mr. Johnson, the kind old man, always brought his newspaper and a cup of black coffee. Mrs. Collins always smiled and asked about my day. Each day, their familiar voices and friendly greetings reminded me that I was part of this busy, wonderful world. One crisp autumn day, I decided to visit a new part of New York with Anna. We took the subway to a neighborhood filled with art, music, and vibrant street life. We walked slowly, enjoying the colorful murals on the walls and the soft music from small cafes. I talked with local shopkeepers and practiced my English. I learned that every part of New York had a story. I listened carefully and noted every new word. That day, I felt that the city was not just a place to work, but a living, breathing book of experiences. My journey continued to be full of surprises. At school, Ms. Parker gave us a creative writing assignment. We had to write a short story about a life-changing moment. I wrote about the day I arrived in New York. I wrote about the noisy airport, the taxi ride, and meeting Anna. I wrote about my first day at school and the kind smile of Ms. Parker. I wrote about my struggles and my small wins. When I finished, I read my story aloud in class. My classmates listened with admiration. I realized that my words could touch hearts. That day, I understood that English was not just a language to me. It was my voice. I continued to attend all my classes. I took part in group discussions, listened to recordings, and practiced writing every day. I kept learning new idioms, new phrases, and new expressions. I even learned a few slang words that made my conversations sound natural. Every class was a new adventure. I was not just studying English, I was living it. Time passed, and my life in New York blossomed. I learned that challenges are a part of every journey. I learned that mistakes are stepping stones to success. I learned that every day brings a chance to improve. I felt grateful for every opportunity. I was grateful for my teachers, my friends, and even for the busy streets of New York that made me practice my English every day. One evening, as the sun set over the city, I sat with Anna and our friends in a small cafe. We talked about our dreams, our struggles, and our hopes for the future. I said, I want to travel the world. I want to share my story. I want to write a book in English that inspires others. Anna said, I want to use my skills to help others learn and grow. I believe in our dreams. Our friends nodded, and we all felt that our dreams were within reach. I looked back at the long journey I had made. I remembered my first day in New York with its bright lights and loud noises. I remembered the nervous excitement when I first spoke English in class. I remembered every small conversation at the cafe, every lecture at school, every friendly smile from a stranger. Each memory was a piece of the puzzle that made me who I am today. I knew that my journey was far from over. There were many more words to learn, many more places to see, and many more experiences to collect. I looked forward to the future with a hopeful heart. I knew that as long as I kept speaking, writing, and listening, my English would grow even stronger. My time in New York has taught me that learning a language is not just about studying, it is about living. It is about taking every chance to speak, every chance to write, every chance to listen, and every chance to learn from the world around you. I have learned that even in a city as big as New York, every face has a story and every conversation is a lesson. Now, I want to share my journey with you. I want you to know that no matter where you come from, you can learn and grow. Every mistake you make is a step toward success. Every new word you learn opens a door to a brighter future. Learning English is a journey filled with small wins that add up to great achievements. As I continue my adventures in New York, I am excited for what lies ahead. I will meet new people, visit new places, and learn new things. I will keep writing in my journal and speaking with a clear voice. I will join new clubs, try new foods, and explore every corner of this amazing city. I am proud of my journey. I am proud that I came from Spain and chose to chase my dream. I am proud that I faced my fears and learned to speak in a new language. I am proud that every day I build a bridge between my old life and my new life. I know that my journey will inspire others to follow their dreams and to learn, no matter how hard it may seem. Today, as I write these words, I feel the power of every sentence I have spoken, every word I have learned, and every conversation I have had. My life in New York is full of hope, friendship, and endless opportunities. I want you to feel that same hope. I want you to know that every journey begins with a single step, and every word matters. Thank you for walking this path with me. I invite you to keep learning, to keep speaking, and to keep dreaming. Let every new day be a chance to grow and to build the future you desire. My journey continues, and I know yours will too. Together, we can create a world full of understanding, connection, and endless possibility. Keep moving forward. Practice every day. Enjoy every small victory. And remember, Your dreams are waiting just beyond the next word. Thank you for being part of my story. I hope my journey inspires you to write your own story, one word at a time. This is my journey in New York, a journey of learning, growing, and making new friends. Every day is a new adventure. Every conversation teaches me something new. I learned to work at a cafe, to study hard at school, and to explore the vast city with wonder. I learned that life is full of chances to speak, to write, and to listen. I learned that the English language is a tool that opens many doors. I learned that even in a busy, noisy city, there is time to pause, to reflect, and to dream. My adventure is far from over. There are many more streets to walk, many more lessons to learn, and many more dreams to chase. I will keep practicing. I will keep speaking. I will keep writing my story every day, and I invite you to join me on this wonderful journey of learning English and exploring the world. Thank you for reading my story. I hope it lights a spark in your heart. Remember, every new word you learn brings you one step closer to your dreams. Let us walk this path together, sharing every small victory and every great moment. The world is full of opportunities, and English is the key that unlocks them. Keep dreaming, keep learning, and never give up. Your journey is just beginning, and every day is a chance to make it brighter. Thank you for joining me on this amazing adventure in New York.